Hello, welcome to the therapist and music. This week we are going to be journaling, try and decompress from the week that has just gone. How has your week been? Has it been a busy week, hectic week? Do you've got a lot to process? Or have you already processed it? Have you already had some experiences this weekend that have helped you to offload and process the week already? The thing that I like to do to offload and process the week is expressive writing, which is just getting out all your thoughts and feelings onto the page as an initial offload, and then having a processing session just to process and reflect on what I've written, and then moving into an intention setting for the week to come. So that's what I like to do every week. And if you've just joined for the first time, why not give it a try? If you find it helpful, it could become part of your weekly process. So this week, I want to focus it on decompressing, which is offloading and processing a busy week. So I feel like it has been a really busy week, and I feel like I've got a bit of a full head. I've got a picture for you here. This is how it feels at the moment, a bit of a squiggle. So there's a lot to process. So if you're feeling like you've had a busy week and you've got Monday coming up tomorrow, right? If you've got a Monday to Friday week and you just want to get clear in your head before you start the week, so you can use this session for that. What I'd like to invite you to do is, in our first writing session, which is going to come up in a couple of minutes, it's going to be 7 minutes long. That's going to be an offload session. So what I'd like to invite you to do in this first session is to get all of the strands. If you imagine it looking like this, it's obviously not like that in your head, but if you imagine, it can feel like it is, right? So get all the strands out onto the page. And that can look like a list of everything that is on your mind from the past week. You may not know what that is yet, but as you start writing, you get a sense of just putting out onto the page everything that maybe has happened this week, everything that's been on your mind from this week, things you feel like you want to process from the week. You don't need to thoroughly go into depth about each one as you get them out. The point for the first offload session is to just get everything out. So if you can imagine doing that for the first session, and then what you can do after you feel like you've got a sense of all the things on the page is you can start writing about one of those things and see where it leads you. So we've got 7 minutes for that. And what I thought we could do before we start writing is just plot how we feel right now. So if you draw a circle with a line going from bottom to top and a line going from left to right, or top to bottom, right to left, the bottom line here is going to the top is how activated you feel. So if you feel flat and completely unactivated right now, you might be right at the bottom. If you feel quite hyper and alert, then you'd be closer to the top. And if that feeling feels pleasant, you're this side of the quadrant. If it feels like an unpleasant feeling, for example, if you've got something coming up tomorrow, let's say you've got an interview tomorrow, you might be feeling quite activated right now, and finding it hard to relax. And that feeling may not feel completely pleasant, right? So you might be more to this side of the quadrant. So the 1 is for where you are now, the 2 is for where you are after writing. So if you just put a 1 for where you feel you are now, there, bottom to top, left to right. And now we're going to go into our first 7-minute writing session, which is our offload session, to get it all out onto the page. Try and keep writing past the point at which you want to stop, and try and go for the full 7 minutes. All right, so I'll see you on the other side. So welcome back. All right, how was that for you? Now, did you find that you were able to get everything out as a list and then start writing about one of those things on the list? Because that's what I intended to do, but it didn't really go like that. So I'd just like to say, if it didn't happen like that for you, if you started writing, getting everything out in a list format, and then you started writing about one of the things that was present for you, that's absolutely fine, because you kind of got to go with what's present for you, right? And if there's something that's coming up as you're trying to get a list out of everything that's on your mind from the week, then okay, there's no right or wrong way to do it, is there? But it can feel the better thing to do to just go with that, because your brain's kind of thrown it up there for a reason, hasn't it? You've had that thought for a reason. So that's what happened to me. I intended on there's so much in my head today from this week. I intended on getting it all out in a list format, and then having it nice and organized, and then choosing something to write about. It didn't go like that. I started to get everything out, and then something was on my mind that came up again, had been on my mind, came up again. I thought, oh, I'll just write about that, and I went with it. And as often happens, it moved me forward on what I was thinking about with regards to that issue, and brought me to a different feeling about it. So in the next writing session, which is going to be our processing session, if you have a list, you can then start processing the items on that list and go with the thread of what you're most interested in or what you're most curious about. Follow that thread first and see where it leads you. But if, like me, you already started processing something, you can continue with that and then choose something else to write about from the week. Before we go into that, though, let's just take a moment to pause and breathe first, just to check in with ourselves, and just to have that moment of pause first, in case you were offloading and feeling tension from the week about any of the things that you wrote down. So we're just going to take a quick big breath in and then let it out like a big sigh. A sigh is releasing for the nervous system. Okay, so big breath in and let it out like a big sigh. And another one of those. Big breath in and let it out like a big sigh. And another one of those. Big breath in and let it out like a big sigh. Any tension, and just release that tension. Okay. Follow the thread of whatever you're curious about. Look for patterns, draw links, and reflect on what you have written about in that first session. If you get to the end of what you want to write about before the time is up, what you can do is also set intentions for the week to come. All right, setting your intentions and your plans for the week to come. Okay, I'll see you on the other side. Hello, welcome back. All right, how did you find that? Okay, so I kind of kept writing about the thing that I was reflecting on from the first offload session, and it's really strange because at the beginning of today's session, I felt like I had loads of things to process. I've really only written about one, and somehow I feel like I've got more clarity, even though I haven't written about loads of things. So it's kind of odd how this process works, really. Sometimes there can be lots of things, or it can feel like there's lots of things, but then and maybe there still is. But sometimes when you write and when you offload and sort of process through writing one thing, it can feel like there's a bit more space to think about other things. So just bring that diagram back up again. How to explain how it is, really. I wonder how your process felt. I definitely felt like that at the beginning. And then I do feel like I've got a bit more direction now. And I didn't get to set any actions for the coming week, but I definitely feel an intention to be more focused in one particular area. And I do have an overall feeling of gratitude after the week that I've just had. So I wonder how your feeling is right now. What's your residing feeling after that processing? Let's just plot how we feel right now. So you've got your one for where you were before we wrote, and now how activated would you say you feel? Bearing in mind it's Sunday, so you may be less activated, bearing in mind that it's Sunday, or you might be a bit more activated because of Monday coming up tomorrow. Or after writing, you may feel that activation is slightly different. And is the feeling that you've got right now a more pleasant feeling or a more unpleasant feeling? And if you feel like you have an emotion that's more unpleasant, what you could do is spend another 7 minutes just writing about that feeling to process it, if you feel like you want to. But if you feel like you have fully processed what was there for you at the beginning of today's session, then that's you done for this week. And I will see you next Sunday for another processing session. And I hope that has felt helpful today. I hope it feels like you have a little bit more clarity than you had at the beginning when you started writing. And if decompressing is the word that works for you, because I know not everybody uses that word, but it sometimes feels quite accurate, doesn't it, to decompress, then I hope that you feel like you have decompressed from a hectic week. So I will see you next Sunday for another weekly process. Or you can use the videos on the channel to have a writing process, anytime you want to. All of the videos that we do every Sunday are up there for a replay whenever you want to use them. So you don't have to have it on a Sunday. I just find that works for me, and that's why I do it on a Sunday evenings here in the UK. So yeah, that's it for now. Have a lovely week, and I will see you again next Sunday. Bye for now.